Welcome back, everybody. It's now Losira up against the god of StarCraft in Flash here. Losira, a GSL finalist. In that regard, he's been able to accomplish more than Flash has in StarCraft 2, but we're living in a different time, a different world, different meta. And Flash, I feel like one day he'll definitely have his GSL finals. Just hasn't done it yet.
Yeah, he's actually just too good at this RTS game, StarCraft 1, StarCraft 2, whatever you want to say. He's been a long-standing member here for KT. He's won an incredible amount of games. He's played so many games. He has a great Pro League record, including, results from his past as well. Known to be pretty good against Zerg back in the day, but nowadays he's struggling a bit. He had that pretty not so good series against Life that we were talking about a little bit before the break, but again, it was Life, who is one of the best players in the world champion, so you can't really judge him off of that. I feel like, though, people still will, and he's going to have to make a good impression against Losira today.
He absolutely will. I want to talk about Losira as a player. He's been around for a very long time. I feel like part of his career, he struggled because he was a player who actually plays like a contemporary Zerg play, kind of like what we saw from, who was it earlier, Dark, with a massive amount of banelings. He plays like true from today's era. He was making like 70 banelings. But his opponents would read him on that. They would make, almost pure Marauder comps, and back then we had siege tanks as part of a normal TVZ comp. So I think he struggled towards the middle to end of Wings of Liberty. A lot of people thought he was going to retire, he was going to disappear, but he stayed on IM as a solid mid-level player for them. He wasn't one of their best players, but he was always able to clean things up. He had some really great matches in the GSTL, for example. But he's a big baneling guy. Loves to make a lot of banelings in this matchup. And nowadays, that makes a lot of sense. So just wanted to talk about his style a little bit. For those of you guys who haven't, you don't remember him maybe. It's been a long time since he's played in a league like this.
Yeah, and that's another thing that can come into effect here, because Losira, he probably watched those games that Life dominated Flash, and he's like, oh, okay, if I do what he did here, here, and here, and here, I can possibly win this game against Flash. He has a lot of examples of ways to beat Flash, whereas, Flash, he doesn't have all the most recent replays of this guy Losira. He's never played in Pro League. It's been a while since he's come out and really shown what he's got, and he could definitely pull out some really tailored builds here to take out Flash.
Losira, man, I could see it in his face. He's so much more mature. He's so much older. He's so much more experienced than when he was a GSL finalist. He lost to his teammate, by the way. If you guys don't remember that GSL finals, I think it was Open Season 4. The first GSL finals I ever attended in person. I even made my girlfriend come with me at the time. And Losira lost 0-4 to Nestea. So
yeah,
there you have it. Here's Flash. He's got that downwards arrow, especially after his match against Life, where he wasn't able to scratch Life, wasn't able to take a single game. I think the arrow is warranted, but it's a new day, and I think he's the favorite here up against Losira.
Yeah, would definitely have to say. These guys definitely both have a lot of experience, but I feel like Flash is just more stable in general. He's gone through a lot of stuff. He's had more time here to really develop his personality, even here in StarCraft 2 as well, and has a ton of fans, as you guys should probably know. If you've never seen this guy, who are you? Why is this your first time here to the stream? Welcome to the club. Thanks for watching. But this guy is incredibly famous.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is so famous that if you are, following esports from other scenes, you probably heard of him. Yeah. And if you haven't followed esports at all, you probably still heard of him. All right, let's see if Flash can close it out here, or if Losira, the old GSL finalist, will bring us to an ace match.
Down here in the bottom right, in the red, the Zerg player for MVP is Losira.
And up to the top left in blue, they call him God. He's Flash. For those of you guys who want a little bit more, I guess, Flash history, I know a little bit more about this player. He was a Terran in StarCraft 1 as well, and his rival was a player called Sejong, who you guys have probably heard of as well. These two were the kings of individual leagues, and Flash and Sejong also having great results in Pro League. Back then, Sejong also played on a team that no longer exists, known as Hwasong Oz. A very solid team. A lot of Hwasong Oz players ended up joining Kespa's 8th team at the very end of StarCraft 1's career, at the end of StarCraft 1's Pro League. Just some more of that. If you want to see some funny Flash images, would definitely recommend Googling Flash is not impressed. And what is this drone doing? I guess he's just checking for proxies.
Yeah, that's got to be what it is. I was thinking about this. I thought he was just going to send it to the base, and just to make sure, like, see the front wall and see if Flash is going for anything like that. But instead, he's just going to scout around his base, make sure there's no proxies. Probably going to go for that hatch first.
Now, just to give you guys a little bit more history on Losira, because this is his very first time playing in Pro League. Some of you guys who are big Pro League fans but haven't followed StarCraft 2 for the longest time, Losira is actually one of the fastest players that StarCraft 2 has ever had. Highest APM, and, you know, he's got super fast hands. If you want to look up an APM video, just search a Losira APM video. I know Kaldor has a very famous Losira video out there of Losira playing in a qualifier, so you can see just how fast this guy actually is. You can see it in his face as well. I love when we have first-person view cameras of this guy, but even when you just see...
speaking of...
he's going to go ahead and put that pull down, but when you see Losira's eyes, you can just see how quickly he's able to look at things on the minimap. One of the fastest players StarCraft 2's ever had.
Yeah, man. Those twitch muscles going around and around. He's got the scout on everything, and he's all over the place. One of the reasons why very early on in StarCraft he was able to be so good, because at the time, you know, the skill level wasn't as high. If you were able to just, you know, be super fast, super quick, and be all over the map at the same time, you could really use Zerg, especially to your advantage, to be aggressive with that race.
Yep. Well, for Flash, he's actually doing a pretty unique build. He's doing a gasless 1 barracks expand. So with this opening, obviously you get your tech a lot later, but you have a faster CC, and you have these 2 Marines, which can be used to kill overlords, check around the map, and you have a ton more money. And what we oftentimes see with this is actually a fast 3rd CC, because you have that extra money, and there it is.
The second you said 3rd, man, that 3rd CC came down, and even scouting up there to see if the Overlord was there in position, a very common place for the Overlords to be, just to scout the front of the base of the Terran, or even the Protoss at times. Just using his barracks to load it there and get the scout on, but an Overlord. Overlord's very nicely hidden, actually, by Losira. One all the way to the left.
Now, let's talk about this even further, because when you can kill an Overlord, sometimes that can really cripple the Zerg's economy. That could really mess with how the Zerg opens. But more importantly, on a build with a build like this, you want to make sure the Overlords can't hide your 3rd CC and punish you. That's why we see Losira getting Overlord speed, because he knows that he wasn't able to get a successful scout, and to try to come in here at this point with this many Marines out is going to be suicide, so he actually has to invest that gas into Overlord speed, something he's probably going to want in late game anyways to help deal with Widow Mines, for example. But it's an upgrade that, you know, got buffed in Heart of the Swarm, and something that we're seeing more and more of. So the Overlord should be able to come in here and identify exactly what Flash is up to right now.
Yeah. One of the most beautiful things about this, especially if you have 2, is you can literally see every tiny corner of the Terran's base. Like, you could scout everything. And that's what this one guy is doing over here. Sees the 3rd CC, even sees the timing, and it just, you know, StarCraft is a game of limited information, but if you can unlimit yourself to all the information of your opponents, it makes it that much easier.
Flash is juggling all sorts of things right now, man. Now he's going double factory. This doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to see mech. Could just be reactored blue flame with a 3rd Hellion production, like triple Hellion blue flame, sort of 2-fact build into bio. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see if he adds any more barracks. He's actually cut Marine production at this moment in time because he's making the add-on. And this is something, again, Losira is going to want to scout. Flash has played on this map a number of times. I think his most famous mech game on this map was versus DRG from last season. If you want to talk Pro League maps, Pro League matches that Flash has played mech in TVZ on, go look up that VOD. It's actually a great game.
That it is. Back at the base of Losira, he will be getting his double Evo chamber here, so he's going to have both of his upgrades coming out here pretty quickly. They have just finished, and he can go into the 1-1 whenever he decides. He's just going to sack this Overlord, and he's going to get to see the 2 factories coming down. Sees the upgrade going at the tech lab of the factory as well. And he sees some Hellions here at his front base, so he could definitely maybe even assume at this point that it is that double fact blue flame kind of build coming out
he
here.
Absolutely is certain about that, and he adds the Roach Warren right now because he needs that extra ability to deal with Hellions and potentially even Hellbats because of the upgrade, of course, the removal of the Transformation Servos upgrade. The Hellbats can get there so fast, and with Blue Flame they're so much stronger, and seeing that stim research as well lets him know that it's going to be a bio follow-up with this. It's not mech, so that Overlord speed has paid for itself so much. Enough for Losira. He's not going to play blind. He's going to be very well aware of everything that's going on. And Blue Flame's about to finish here, Valdez. Let's see how much damage he can get done.
Well, we already have a lot of queens out here for Losira. It's going to be very good in spreading that creep out as far as possible, delaying this push. But he's just going to run right by. He's going to drive right by, right into the main, and there's no wall here. But he decides not to go in just yet. He wants to check this third base, and all of these drones are lining up.
Yep, the Roaches are not ready yet. Just a few popping out right now. Blue Flame is done. So many of those drones going down. Already 13 kills, and only a few Hellions lost here. Can actually just kind of kite his way back here, dealing with some of those speedlings. Great control putting that weakened Hellion into the back here. And these Hellions are, of course, going to continue to maraud around the map and be frustrating. Back at home, he's adding siege tanks into the mix. Why? Because he knows that it's very scary when you just committed that much to Blue Flame Hellions and there are Roaches on the map. Does not want to die to a counterattack. Does not even want to take damage to a counterattack if he can help it. That third base that he's got up right now is so important. All that extra gas going to his upgrades. Stim's about to finish, so he's going to need to buy combat shields. Medevacs are expensive, and he's even going to go double siege tank here because he's got 2 factories. Why not?
Yeah. Pretty much covering everything that's going over here for Flash. But again, once again, Losira, he's got that Overlord speed. He's had it since he got it very early on in the game, and he can just see exactly what's going on in the base. He can see everything that's going on. He can scout the front here with this Overlord that's over by the front and see that 4th CC coming down. He is adding Burrow as well as a Spire and a Baneling Nest, so he's getting a lot of tech at the moment. And still no 4th base here.
He knows what's up. No more Roach production, no Roach speed. Oh, actually, just as I say that, it comes up. I was not expecting that. But with Roach speed and Burrow, we could see some weird, not weird, but unusual Burrow movement tactics, for example, later on, or just Roach run-bys. But just keep a closer eye on the Ling production because he is transitioning as he's scouted everything into a more standard ZVT build. He's going into Baneling speed now. Spires finish up so he can get Meatless out. Creep spread being pushed back here just slightly by these Hellions, but let's be careful. Don't want to take any unnecessary losses. Here's the first-person view. It's actually, I think, the latest first-person view we've ever had in a game, so you guys can see through this mid-game just how hard it is to multitask.
A lot of people actually requesting this, and so we got it for you guys here, coming up a little bit later. Not quite in an engagement, but, as we are heading towards 4 bases.
I mean, Flash is the most famous StarCraft player in the world. And as you can see, he's famous for a reason. Look at how quickly he's able to make these movements happen. He's building depot walls as he moves around the army, pressuring, scanning, trying to clear up creep tumors. He's trying to take a very fast 4th CC here to make that planetary. And this is actually at just 12 minutes. Huge Baneling landmines, by the way, with that Burrow. That's what the plan was with that. Doesn't even have to use Mutalisk to bait it. And that's going to make holding this 4th base all the more difficult.
That it will. He's going to have to get rid of that burrowed Roach, actually, that's down there. I don't think he's realized it just yet. He's going to have to use another scan here. It's so annoying at this moment in time. There he goes.
Yeah, he's using so many scans, and guess what that means? When Baneling landmines are in front of him in the future as well, he might have to scan, and that costs him even more minerals. He might not have a scan. That might make him more vulnerable to actually taking Baneling damage. And, is taking a page out of Dream's book here. 4 Thors already on the way, and he's getting mech upgrades early on. Just going to add that 4 Thor comp, just like we saw in, not TY, Solar versus Dream. And, you could see a lot of crazy micro in that series if you go back and watch it. That's part of the key here because they do a lot of ground-to-ground damage as well as they make Mutalisk less of a factor.
Yeah. Definitely. One other thing I do want to mention right now, as it is getting pretty crazy, for all you Zergs out there watching this game trying to learn, Losira's got like 3 or 4 queens still out on the map, spreading creep. It is like one of the best creep spreads I've seen on this map just yet. We're only at 14 minutes into the game, and he's already at that 4th base. So he is going to have great vision on this map, great movement all over it as well.
Yeah, it's actually pretty uncommon to have both players up this far into the map at 14 minutes. Before 15 minutes, we have a planetary at the 4th and creep almost right next to it, as well as, spreading over 2 different pathways on the map. Now, a big, huge swell of Banelings. I talked about it earlier. He loves his Banes, so wants to avoid them hitting on those Thors, as well as the Marauders. Not a single Widow Mine in the comp here, by the way, for Flash. He's relying on Thors alone to help deal with these air units, as well as to tank in the front. Look at this, leading the charge with Hellbats, a few of those Marauders, and here come those Losira Banes, 60+ rolling in, and they don't care what they hit because that AoE damage is splashing so many of these units. Roach is at the back here. They did get that Roach speed. Flash holds on, but he lost 3 very expensive Thors.
That he did. He does keep a big chunk of his Marine count alive, though. And he's going to continue that push once he rebuilds some of those units. We do see Losira trying to go for a kind of counterattack here at the back, but already Flash very well prepared for this. Even gotten the wall there at the bottom of that ramp, so there's no getting in unless you want to spend some Banes on a supply depot wall.
I want to mention that Losira is building an insane bank, and not only that, he has 94 drones. It's almost too many drones. You're going to notice his army supply is quite weak for a lot of the portions of this game because he has all those drones, but it can build him a bank where he could use the drones later to make static defense, and he could just, do big meterless switches, for example. Building a bank is so important in this matchup. You can do a big Broodlord switch, as we do have a Greater Spire on the way. And, of course, you can add an Ultralisk Cavern at any time to use that bank for that as well.
Do you see 4 Marauders and a drop here coming towards the natural? Will be totally cleaned up as Losira goes for a counterattack. But again, 2 tanks back here, and once Losira sees that, he's going to back off immediately.
Absolutely, especially with the wall there and the positioning on those tanks. This Losira army's in an awkward spot. It's tough to defend against this attack with that army. And he can't really assault that position at the 3rd base either. 4th base is a tough planetary. Meanwhile, another drop going on over down here at this 5th base that he's trying to make. Might actually have to be canceled with these upgrades he's pushing down. He's got 2-2, 3-3 about to finish as well as that +2 for his Thors. Let's see how he deals with the Broods, though, Valdez, because he doesn't have any Vikings yet, and Thors, they can shoot far, but it's pretty tough to kill Broods.
And he's only
Thors.
got 1 Thor. Well, here we go. A very big counterattack coming in towards that 3rd base. Losira's going all in with this one. He's trying to get as much damage done. He has no hopes of saving any of these army units. But again, not the most damage done here, but he does get some even supply caps Flash here for a bit.
Good read there by Flash. Not read, but just he was able to see those Banelings there in the mineral line, because if he had just been looking at something else and went away, those 3 Banelings could have killed his entire mineral line just by trapping him there, by tricking him. Ultralisk Cavern is on the way. 10 more Corruptors to deal with Vikings that just simply aren't on this map. With a worker count of 90, it's tough to have enough buffer units on the ground, actually, to help those Broodlords. So he needs to be careful here, because even without Vikings, if Flash can get underneath the Broodlords and just stim with his Marines, he can take them out that way.
That he can. He's putting on pressure in one area while dropping another. That base towards the left side is definitely not going to stay up. And he could even focus down this hatchery over here and run away from the Broodlords. Again, Broodlords, they're very strong, but they're very immobile.
Yeah, they're very slow. Yeah.
But again, it seems like Losira doesn't want to let him run away. He's trying to surround all these units. He catches a lot of them. And he's even got some Corruptors in the mix, kind of like Dark S here, to protect this and try to snipe down some medevacs as they're running away as well.
Corruptors here is such a great unit to have when you're going Broods, because they can kill medevacs, they can become Broodlords, and they can deal with Vikings. So going to be a staple unit here in the late game to help protect these Broods, which are now actually starting to hit on this planetary. And Broodlords actually do a ton of damage with that initial land of the Broodlings, and then they just surround and keep doing damage. They're free units. He's going to actually just target this planetary down here, not using his Banelings until the SCVs surround. A pretty cool choice just to make sure he maximizes the damage there. And the Corruptors getting a bit ahead of themselves here, but they scout out the army, and Flash is now making triple starport. He's already making 4 Vikings at a time. He's adding so many starports, he just wants to fill that empty supply with the bank he has of Vikings. He can actually go into 6 Vikings at a time here in just a second.
He's trying to buy himself some time as well. He does not want to fight this army straight on. He's trying to reroute it, actually, and go for the base of Losira, but Losira at the same time, he's running a ton of... Actually, Zergling's into that 3rd base at the same time. He's doing a bunch of damage. Flash is going to have to find some damage with this Doom drop even, going towards that 4th base.
Yep, he's going to try to come over here and attack this base. Corruptors do find him, though. Obviously, the drops can unload and protect themselves against the Corruptors, but by that time, the bio will be surrounded by Lings and Banelings. Decides to boost towards the main base. This is something that Losira can scout. He's even got an Ultralisk in here to help out, which doesn't yet have its +3, but it's going to do some extra damage, forcing that lift. And again, the Corruptors are right on top of this.
Pretty insane. I mean, he's trying to find whatever damage he can get done, but Losira, he's just got such an amazing economy at this point as well. He's just following this around. Flash is just desperately trying to find damage, but he can't. He can't even drop anywhere because there's Banelings following him everywhere.
He's been spending all of his bank on Vikings. He's about to finish his 10th, 11th, and 12th. Or actually 11th, 12th, and 13th Viking on the map. You know, he's got a ton of those coming out. They're going to be useful against the Corruptors, which are decimating these drops. But now he's caught in a rock between a hard place because, you know, he almost lost his drop to the Corruptors. He had to pick up those, you know, ground units there. This Broodlord force should protect this base. He's got even a few Ultralisks down here. Flash is struggling to get damage done, and the longer this game goes on with Losira's economy, it's going to get worse and worse.
He's trying. He's desperately trying to scratch Losira right now, but he can't. He's trying to take this base over here. He's lost the one in the middle. He can't even land this at this moment in time. His 3rd base has taken so much damage. He's lost a lot of mining there as well. And just now does he have that necessary Viking force against all of these Broodlords, but even so, there are some still Corruptors in the mist, and Losira's got a lot of Ultralisks now, which Flash doesn't have the greatest army against.
Yep, some corruption going down on those Vikings. Let's see how Losira wants to remax, because he doesn't have a lot of gas, mind you, after this engagement, and Flash has taken a pretty nice defensive one. He needs a few more reinforcing Marauders, though, before he can end it. And the Lings here is
rolling through, as well as some more Ultralisks coming as well. All of those Vikings that were used to take out the Broodlords, they can't do anything right now. They can land, but they are so weak against Ultralisks.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't want to use them that way either, because if he does and there's another switch back to Broodlords, he's going to have that problem again. He's got no money left. And Losira is just carefully remaxing, not spending his bank because he's not exactly sure how he wants to do that just yet. 6 Mutalisks. Sensing this is a mostly Marauder force that he forced out with the Ultralisk, because that's the comp that you want against this. That was a very expensive loss he just took there. Is he going to land here?
Trying to find some damage. They're going to land here at the 4th base, but immediately have to pick up as the Zerglings are right in position. Very, very fast. That creep spread that he's got all over the map is so useful for this as well. And he just can't find any damage, man.
No, he's really struggling. You know, just trying to run around with these Vikings and pick off any unit he can find wouldn't be a bad choice. The Mutalisk count's still so low, actually, the Vikings can knock them out of the sky before they can even approach with that range that they have. Look, he's going to just walk over here again. He's so desperate to find damage.
So desperate to find mining, man. He's, like, just barely now gotten that 3rd base back, and he still hasn't even landed that CC at the 4th base. He lost the planetary in the middle. He's not mining anywhere but, like, 1 base and barely at the natural. And that's about it. He's got a bank of 2K gas, but he can't make any use of it.
Nope. 9 Marines at a time is all he's making. He can barely afford to spend his money on Marauders. So, I mean, he's trying to build the easiest, most cost-efficient comp he can afford, but he really just can't afford anything else. Vikings now starting to fall. The Mutalisk count is too high, and Flash is losing control of this game rapidly. He's going to actually lose this CC potentially as well. A CC that was never able to land.
GG. Wow, man. Losira takes out Flash. I feel like Flash was definitely the favorite here, but Flash once again showing his weakness against Zerg. Losira's style was very interesting and something we don't see very often. Just trying to delay, and get into Hive very fast. You know, a lot of Zergs these days, they love to say, just before Hive, get the Bling Bane Mutacomp, get as many Mutas as possible, get as many Banes as possible. But Losira just trying to change it up, go for counterattacks, delay, get that tech out, and he used it to his advantage against Flash. Flash, he was trying a bit of a different style there as well with the Thors. He was trying to, you know, lay on the damage. He was trying to clear that creep and clean out a lot of the hatcheries, which he did well. But Losira just had a great economy. He had like 90 drones. It was crazy.
Losira playing this very Wings of Liberty, 85, 90 drones, get that bank, get that hive, and rely on an overwhelming amount of banelings. He had that one baneling trap that killed a lot of flashes and units that really helped him tempo-wise in the middle of the game. And when you have that hive out, you can get your 3-3 up, you can get your Ultralist out, you can make these switches, you can keep the Terran guessing. We don't see this style all too often anymore in Korea, but I think it's going to make a bit of a comeback. It's a style that Losira is very good at because he knows how to make, 70, 75 banelings in the map and make them worth it. And Flash, who went Thors instead of Widowmines, the Thors obviously tank a lot of banelings, but when the Thors are all clumped up with your bio, you're blowing up the Thors and the bio anyways. You're just going to get a great hit with your massive amount of banelings, just like we saw there. I feel like Flash has a tendency to make compositions a little bit blind. There were no Mutalisks on the map when he was making those Thors, and a good.
He scanned the Spire and he's like, oh, you're gonna make mutas. Made 4 Thors, not a single muta until like 20 minutes into that game.
Yeah, it was Corruptors. It was Fast Hive. It was a Broodlord comp. Well, who are you feeling?
I think we're gonna see TY today, man. It's his 7th anniversary. He played a great game. It was a short one at that. He didn't really show his style too much. It was just a pretty aggressive attack. I think he can come out here against Marine King even. Unless you think there's someone better than Marine King there that's going to come out for MVP that they may want to snipe.
I think we could see stats versus Marine King. Could even potentially see Younghwa. Would not even put it past them. I actually have no idea. This is a tough one to call. I think it's going to be stats for TY. And, they used Flash a lot of the time when he loses, too. I mean, there's a small chance that Flash wants to TBT against Marine King if they're expecting Marine King. So, it's really up in the air, to be honest with you guys. It's hard to say. Players are on stage now. Zest versus Younghwa.
Wow. Okay. So this is not what I was expecting at all.
I really had a feeling we were going to see Younghwa today in the ace match.
What was your thought process behind that actually? Because I didn't see that coming really.
Younghwa's a good all-around player. He's a catch-all player, and because today KT could have called upon anyone, in my personal opinion, I say Younghwa's style is catch-all enough. He's like if you're playing Mario Kart, he's Mario. Okay, he has no glaring strengths or weaknesses, and he's a player that is catch-all when you're not sure who they're going to send. He's a strong Pro Boss player. He's looking better these days. He didn't play today in the regular roster, but I think he's a solid ace pick right now for MVP. If I were Choi, I would have done the same thing.